From Storm and Shadow, a contemporary fae fantasy novel by Rachel Morgan. Digitally narrated with a full cast of voices.
There's nothing there, babe.
There is.
Where?
I don't know.
Babe.
Gav swore to me he's been inside. He said it's completely mind-blowing. Literally out of this world.
The two of them squint across the street at the nondescript door tucked into the shadows between two empty storefronts. Beside them, I step silently from a hole in the air, leaving the fairy paths behind. My body casts no shadow across the moonlit sidewalk. With glamour magic concealing me, I'm as invisible as the building these two humans are trying so hard to see. Well, the guy is trying hard, staring with such force he's in danger of hurting himself. But the girl continues to regard the door with arms folded over her chest. Can't say I blame her for doubting. It's tough to imagine there's anything out of this world here in this unremarkable city street.
Right. Sure. A magical club owned by a magical dude with actual magical powers? Come on, babe. We both know Gav is full of shit.
Okay, just listen. He said you have to believe when you look at the door. You have to, have faith that it's there.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Babe.
No, seriously.
I almost snort laugh as I cross the street. I highly doubt those two will be making it inside Riven's club tonight. The glamour is a powerful one, hiding this place from both humans and those with magical blood. The average passerby would never know it's here. Humans have to be invited by Riven, or come along in the company of someone who already knows of this place and has seen it. And those from the Fae realm need to know precisely where the club is, and come close enough to pass through the glamour. I reach the sidewalk on the far side of the street and approach the door. Dull brown, plain, uninteresting, possibly even a little creepy. But the moment my high-top sneakers touch the single doorstep, the glamour ripples and melts away. The polished marble steps appear first, then the impressive pair of arched doors, glass with gold doorknobs and gold filigree patterns curling around the edges. The entire entrance expands, the sparkling quartz walls seeming to push aside the surrounding buildings. And while the exterior now appears large, I know it's nothing compared to the size of the building hidden within. I lift my eyes to the large gold letters above the door. The Gilded Canary. I climb the steps and reach for one of the gold doorknobs, the ring containing my employee access charm. A slim silver band with tiny flourishes etched into it. Goes warm for a second. Then the door opens, releasing cool, perfumed air and the faint thump-thump of music. I step inside, leaving behind the pair of arguing humans. The guy still trying to convince the girl that the simple door they're staring at is a secret entrance to another world. That isn't entirely true. The Gilded Canary exists very much within the human realm, but it is dripping with magic. And to humans, that's probably the same thing. The two bouncers standing inside the glittering, gold-lit foyer nod to me as I pass.
Evening, Silver.
Shouldn't you be using the employee entrance?
There's a queue there, Nico, and I'm late.
Riven won't be happy to hear you're waltzing in through the main entrance.
Riven won't know unless you tell him.
Riven knows everything.
I smile and shake my head as I reach the curtain of water droplets separating the foyer from the rest of the club. I know Nico won't say anything. The curtain sweeps itself aside and I step into the glittering, magical in-between world of Riven Zareth's creation. A seemingly endless maze of dance floors, bar areas, VIP balconies, private rooms, a casino, a small theater, an enchanted fighting ring, and even a concert hall. The Rainbow Room is first, where aerial acrobats spin effortlessly through the air above the patrons, twirling ribbons behind them. Sprites flit between the performers, leaving trails of shimmering bubbles in the air. Waiterons adorned in silver jewelry and glittery makeup carry exotic, colorful drinks through the crowd, which is made up of fairies, humans, and halfling fae of all types. People with slender horns, bat wings, clawed feet, shimmering, scaly skin. Inside the Gilded Canary, all invisibility glamours are stripped away. The impossible becomes possible. It's a wonderland for humans, and it's all entirely illegal. I assumed when I first discovered this place that the guild knew nothing of it. Surely the council would go into spasms of fury if they learned of such a place. But then I met Riven, creator of the Gilded Canary, and all he did was laugh when I asked how he managed to keep this all hidden from the guild.
My dear, Silver, is it?
He glanced at my silver-white hair, which I hadn't covered when I had my interview with him.
The guild already knows.
Oh, but they haven't tried to shut you down?
Oh, I'm sure they wish they could, but we have a mutually beneficial arrangement. As I'm sure you can imagine, my club is a breeding ground of illegal activity. Plenty of my employees are in a position to overhear interesting things. As long as I continue to supply the guild with information, in a way that can't be traced back to me, they leave us be. So, if you're thinking of running off to the guild to share your thrilling discovery of the Gilded Canary in the hopes of gaining some sort of reward, I'm afraid that will end badly for only one person, you.
Standing there in his office, I'd almost choked on that idea. For one thing, it would break my rule of never returning to the Fae world. While I use the fairy paths to travel quickly from one point to another within the human realm, I haven't crossed the veil back into my own world in a long time. And for another, it would be suicide to walk into a guild. I can assure you, sir, I don't plan to go anywhere near a guild or any guardian for as long as I live.
Good. Now, Silver, why don't you show me what you can do?
As it turned out, he was pleased with my demonstration. I've been working here 2 or 3 nights a week ever since. I slip between the dancing, spinning bodies in the rainbow room as quickly as I can and make for the mirrored passageway that connects this dance area to the next one, the gold floor. Inside the passage, I glance sideways to double-check the glamour enchantment for my hair. Shoulder length, dead straight, ink black. A satisfied smile touches my lips as I continue walking. More powerful than the type of glamour I could cast with my own magic, this particular spell works on Fae as well as humans. My own hair, white blonde streaked with literal silver, is far too noticeable. Even in a place like this where almost every second person is a dazzling splash of color. Brunette and tangerine, blonde and aquamarine, black and violet. Fairies are hard to miss with their two-toned hair and vibrant eyes, and I prefer to draw as little attention as possible. The gold floor has a more sophisticated feel than the rainbow room, with metallic finishes and sparkling diamond-like embellishments, not least of which is the enormous chandelier of cut glass crystals. Icicle-shaped drops hang from the lower part of the arrangement, the largest icicle at the center seeming to glitter with more than just refracted light. The music in here is slow, seductive, a liquid beat pulsing through my body. I head straight for the sleek metallic bar curving along one side of the room, aware, as I told Nico, that I'm running late, but also conscious of the fact that I need to collect something from Mel before her shift ends. I reach the bar and lean casually on it, pretending I have all the time in the world. "Hey, Mel!" I call out to the woman with black hair and scaled skin.
Silver, hey!
She leans across the bar, clasping my left hand as she loops her other arm around me. Something small and hard presses against my palm as we half-hug across the bar.
For Goldilocks.
She pulls back as my hand closes around the small object. It feels like a ring. What secrets or magic it may contain, I have no idea. My only job is to pass it on to Goldilocks, who will make sure whatever crime this ring-shaped item is related to doesn't happen.
You're on tonight?
Yeah, in a few minutes. I slide the small object deep into one of my pockets.
Better hurry. Clyde will be getting his panties in a twist.
I laugh as I turn away. His panties can twist themselves all the way up his... My words die at the back of my throat as my gaze lands on the guy just a few feet away from me. He's reaching for a glass from a passing tray, and his sleeve has pulled up an inch or two to reveal something on the inside of his wrist. Dark, swirling patterns. My heart slams against my ribs, and I'm instantly lightheaded from the flood of adrenaline. The man lifts the glass to his lips, his gaze sliding toward me, but I'm already turning away. I face the bar and lift my right foot onto the nearest stool, pretending to casually redo my laces while I try to remember how to breathe.
Everything okay?
Yeah. My eyes dart across my forearms as I mentally catalog the numerous charms hidden there. A thick leather cuff with an oval-shaped moonstone pressed into it encircles my left wrist. On my right is a multi-layer wrap bracelet of leather braids, knots, stones of various colors, a few freshwater pearls, and a small silver bird with the number 3 engraved on its side. Each stone and pearl contains some form of magic. The majority are for emergency use only. This isn't an emergency, I remind myself as I attempt to stay calm. Not yet. I straighten, still facing the bar, and pat both jacket pockets. Cell phone in one, amber in the other. I withdraw the amber. From a distance, it could be mistaken for a phone. Slim, glossy, rectangular, serves the same purpose. But anyone close enough would see that its translucent surface remains blank instead of lighting up to reveal numbers, apps, and photos. I slip my stylus out of the same pocket and write across the amber's surface. I'm not supposed to contact Riven directly, so I write a message to his assistant Lily instead. Urgent. Just spotted a guardian on the gold floor, brunette and red. Magic flows out of my fingers and through the stylus, making the words glow as they appear on the amber. They remain visible for a few moments, then vanish. My intention, plus the magic bleeding through the stylus, are enough to send the message to the right person. I continue walking, amber clutched in my hand, and Lily's reply comes moments later. I scan her neat, almost childlike script.
Relax. He's Riven's new contact at the guild. They have a meeting tonight.
My pulse slows. My hands stop sweating. I grip the stylus with a little less force as I swipe her message away and write another one. When you see him, tell him to hide his markings better, unless he's hoping to get himself killed. Then I slide the amber and stylus back into my pocket and increase my pace. I'm definitely late now. I leave the gold floor behind and head through the arched passageway that leads to the private rooms. One of the doors opens as I pass it, and I catch a glimpse of thousands of tiny purple birds fluttering toward the ceiling, which is enchanted to look like a galaxy of stars. Delighted laughter reaches my ears, and then it's gone, swallowed up by the frenetic drumbeat emanating from the room next to it. I hurry past all of them, aiming for the employees-only door at the end of the passage. With a nod to the centaur who stands guard beside it, I open the door. The employee access ring warms briefly on my finger, and slip through. The backstage area, accessible from numerous points throughout the club, is a tangle of dressing rooms, bathrooms, offices, and training areas for fighters and other performance artists to practice in. I navigate the passageways with ease and speed, ducking quickly into the room I share with 5 other fighters. Couch, dressing table, mirror, lockers. We don't need much else. My phone buzzes as I reach my locker. A message from Teddy.
Got takeout. Come over when you're done.
Teddy thinks my evening shifts take place inside a university library. He'd probably faint if he knew the truth. Thanks. I type quickly before shoving the phone back into my pocket. Then I remind myself to hurry up. Jacket off, necklace on, mask secured, locker shut. And then I'm off. The other performers in the backstage corridors passing in a colorful blur. I hurry into Competitor Lounge A. The muffled roar of cheers and applause reaches my ears. 2 other fighters, scheduled to go on after me if I remember the lineup correctly, are already there.
Silver.
The furious hiss comes from the other side of the room beside an open doorway filled with white mist so thick it's impossible to see through it. Clyde stands there, hands on his hips and his ever-present amber tablet floating in the air beside him. His hair, a shock of crimson and blonde, is even more unruly than usual. He glares at me, and since he's a faerie and his eyes match his hair, I'm glaring back at a fiery gaze so intense it's almost burning.
You're late.
He marches over and tugs me toward the mist swirling in the doorway. I'm perfectly on time.
The last 2 fights ended earlier than expected. This is why you're supposed to be here at least.
Has my fight started yet?
No, but Hemlock's about to announce—
Then I'm not late. I take a step toward the mist, but he grips my upper arm and pulls me back against his chest.
Be careful, Silver. You're not so good that Riven won't get rid of you if I tell him you're not taking his rules seriously. I've been here far longer than you have.
I resist the urge to shove an elbow into Clyde's gut and instead shrug him off. I wish I could tell him I am that good, that I could be crowned champion every night if I actually tried. But he'd laugh in my face since he's never seen a shred of evidence to back this up. So all I say is, get off me. Flaming Peacock and I have a fight to get to.
Sadly, the lovely Peacock didn't show up tonight. But we do have someone new. Someone desperate for a fight. So instead of starting this mysterious someone at the bottom, I mixed things up a bit. Decided to give you a little fun.
I twist to look over my shoulder. And does Riven know you're changing things up behind his back? Throwing unvetted fighters into
Riven trusts me to put together the type of show that will keep patrons salivating for more.
Well, I assume she's good then. I'd hate to get bored out there and disappoint the audience.
Oh, trust me. He is very good.
If Clyde is hoping to scare me, he's going to be disappointed. I don't care who I'm paired up with. In the end, I always choose to lose. Showing the patrons of the Gilded Canary what I'm truly capable of has never been an option. With a sigh and a shake of my head, I turn from Clyde and face the doorway. Wrapping my hand around the chunky stone hanging from my necklace, I squeeze hard and whisper a few words. The enchantment the costume department created for me bursts into life with a prickle that runs all the way down my spine. Then I step right up to the eddying mist that separates me from the enchanted arena, breathe out a slow, steadying breath, and picture myself as the person my opponent will see when I appear on the other side. The Black Batelier. My clothing is simple enough, a black tank and stretchy black pants, but my mask, perfectly contoured to the upper half of my face, is covered in silky black feathers that gleam with a bluish-purple sheen wherever the light catches them. The black feathers that sprout in wing formation from the enchantment running down my back shimmer with the same glossy purple-blue. This bird of prey persona has been my identity for the past couple of months. Before that, I was the ruby scorpion. Before that, the diamond knife. And before that, well, my identities begin to blur together after a while. I've played many parts in Riven's fighting ring. The moment I begin to gain some measure of popularity, I put that persona to rest and come up with a new one. Riven isn't a huge fan of this strategy, but I made it clear that it was the only way I could continue to work here safely. And despite Clyde's threat that he could easily get rid of me, I've always had the feeling Riven wants to keep me around. On the other side of the mist, Hemlock's magically magnified voice shouts my name, bringing me back to the present. With a final breath, I step through the swirling whiteness and into the fighting ring. The setting is different every night, and until this moment, I have no idea what to expect. Salty air fills my nostrils. Sea spray wets my skin. My gaze darts about, and I take in a strip of beach battered on either side by a choppy sea. Though it isn't raining, bruised dark clouds fill the sky and lightning flickers overhead. I can't see the spectators seated around the outside of the magical arena, but the distant roar of their voices reaches through the dome of magic, mingling with the crash of waves against the shore on either side. Then my eyes settle on my opponent on the far side of the sandy strip. Tall, broad shoulders, muscular build. A simple black mask covers the whole of his face. No scales, feathers, glitter, or fangs. No animal or fey design. He's made no effort with his clothing either. Riven will not be impressed when he learns of this. I tilt my head, watching, waiting to see what move he'll make first. He remains frozen for a heartbeat. Then another. And then he begins stalking toward me. I'll bet he's smirking beneath that dull mask of his. Probably thinks this will be the easiest win of his life. I almost smile. The bodybuilder types are always the slowest. He heads straight for me, hands steady at his sides. No sparks, no elaborate magical displays, no impressive acrobatic stunts. Just a simple, no-nonsense stride. I cock my hips to one side, feigning boredom as I gather magic above my palms. I'm half convinced that his plan is to simply walk straight into me. But then he comes to a halt a few feet away. He doesn't move. Well? My lips curve up in what I hope the audience interprets as a sultry smile. What are you waiting for? Come and get me.
Are you...
I sweep both hands through the air, my magic scooping up sand and hurling it in 2 arcs toward him. His shield magic is up in an instant, faster than I would have thought possible. The sand blasts against it and rains down onto the beach. Then the rippling layer of magic is gone, and he's lunging forward, hands up, magic crackling. I leap aside and dodge around him. Cartwheel, backflip, perfect landing. My head snaps up, gaze landing on him and lips curving into another smile as I straighten. All completely unnecessary. But unlike Mr. Boring over there, I'm here to earn my keep by giving the people a good show. A lightning bolt streaks overhead, blinding me for a second. And when it's gone, I see my opponent's fingers curled toward the water on my right. A wave rises up with alarming speed, and I barely have time to duck down and tug a layer of magic over myself like a blanket before the wave crashes right over me. I straighten again, and suddenly he's a lot closer. I lash out with magic, transforming the sparks into tiny, sharpened twigs before they reach him. He knocks them aside with one arm and a powerful gust of wind. His other arm is already up, sending blue-green flames my way. They're swallowed up within seconds by another arc of sand. And then the fight really begins. No weapons are allowed in here, but there are almost 0 restrictions on magic. And that, of course, is more fun than any weapon. A rain of razor-sharp stones, a vortex of snow, a spray of glowing hot lava. I'm limited only by my imagination, the speed of my thoughts, and the amount of magic I have. And I'm nowhere near running out of that just yet. We're close enough now to strike out with fists and feet as well, darting forward to punch and then dodging back to throw more magic. Spiny leaves, twisted vines, silvery needles. No matter what I throw at him, he's ready to hurl his own magic right back at me. He comes scarily close to hitting me with a flaming boulder, but I jump, and a burst of magic plus the enchantment woven into my wings carries me higher than a normal leap. The boulder soars beneath me and explodes into tiny pebbles. I land hard, forcing a pulse of magic from my palms so that the sand flies up around me. It's all about the show, after all. And then we're back at it, me and Mr. Not So Boring After All, dancing, dodging, lunging, kicking. He's certainly making me work harder than anyone else I've faced in this enchanted fighting ring. On an ordinary night, I have to remind myself to slow down, to give my opponents a chance. But not with this guy. He's good. Too good. As if he knows the space I plan to occupy before I even get there. With a flare of irritation, I wonder if he's been here before. If he's watched me and taken notes. But that shouldn't make him this good, should it? Even the people I've fought multiple times, the people who should know my moves better than anyone else, aren't this fast. This guy wields offensive magic as if he's been professionally trained. Almost as if he's... I take a split second to glance at his wrists, but his sleeves are too long for me to tell whether his skin bears the markings of a guardian. A guardian in Riven's fighting ring? What an absurd idea. Light streaks toward me, and my moment of distraction leaves me with no time to deflect it with magic. My right arm is up instinctively, and the bolt of raw, unformed magic rebounds off my wrap bracelet. A surprised gasp comes from the crowd. Yeah, it's more than just a few strips of leather, I think, with a satisfied curve to my lips. But then I feel something different. The swish of hair against my shoulders is gone. One hand flies up, but I realize before it even reaches my head what must have happened. My opponent's magic struck the pearl that contained the glamour for my hair. My sleek black bob is suddenly a messy tangle of silver and white atop my head. Well, crap. That hasn't happened before. My opponent pauses, apparently as surprised as the audience. Then he lunges forward, grabs my wrists, and tugs me closer. We're suddenly face to face, close enough that I can see the precise color of his eyes. Flecks of yellow gold and amber irises. The color is so startlingly familiar that for a moment I'm too stunned to fight back. And that's the moment I find my legs swept out from beneath me. I land hard on my back. He's on top of me, clamping my wrists together with one hand and pinning my arms down against my chest, while his other hand reaches swiftly for my mask. What the hell? There may be close to 0 rules inside this fighting ring, but removing someone's... He rips the mask clear off my face. Then he goes utterly still. His words, a hoarse whisper when they finally come, chill my blood.
I thought you were dead.
His grip loosens. My hand shoots up and I tear the mask from his face. My breath seizes. His dark hair is longer, the angles of his face sharper, but I recognize him in a heartbeat. Ash. Another heartbeat passes. Then I roll us so that I'm the one on top. I shove away from him, rise swiftly, and run. From Storm and Shadow by Rachel Morgan continues in Chapter 2.